Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And it's Sunday, so we are doing breaches of the week. And what do Barracuda, Oracle, Aflac, the European Space Agency, Wired, and the Tinder for Nazis, which is apparently a thing, what do they have in common? We're all going to be talking about them right now. And thank you very much to Jacqueline Wolf, Destiny Charles, and Frank Renault for sending me a chunk of this information. It always helps, and please keep sending those tips my way. And with that, let's start huge with the European Space Agency, because they confirmed a security breach of unclassified material from science servers following reports on social media. The threat actor is claimed to have compromised ESA systems and have leaked roughly 200 gigabytes of data. According to screenshots shared on X by French cybersecurity professional Seb Latom, the actor alleges they were able to steal source code, API tokens, access tokens from multiple ESA systems, confidential documents, system and application configuration files, hard-coded credentials such as embedded passwords, and authentication secrets. Now, the ESA said its initial forensic analysis, which remains ongoing, has only identified, quote, a very limited number of science servers located outside the ESA corporate network that may be affected, end quote. And according to the agency, these servers were used for unclassified collaborative engineering activities within the scientific community. So, in other words, they really didn't get the state secrets here, but best of luck, European State Agency. Moving on, Saks LLP. This is actually a top-ranked U.S. accounting firm. They have started notifying over 220,000 individuals that sensitive personal data may have been compromised in a cyber attack that went undisclosed for 16 months. Good job, guys. Now, in the filing with Maine's Attorney General, Saks revealed that it detected a network intrusion on August 7th of 2024. We're talking names, dates of birth, social security numbers, driver's license, state IDs, and passports may have been caught up in this. 228,876 individuals impacted. So if you use Saks for your accounting needs, ask them why they took so long. Excuse me, a little under the weather still. Moving on, let's talk about 700 credit, because there is more fallout from that massive breach from like a month or two ago. And this week, more than 108 South Carolinians were essentially impacted by this, according to reports. So heads up, if you live in South Carolina, you may be impacted by 700 credit. Moving on, Marquee Software Solutions. I'm going to give you an update on their ongoing supply chain breach, because Blaze Credit Union, which is Minnesota's fourth largest credit union by assets, has had to declare a data breach for using Marquee software. About 235,000 active Blaze member accounts were impacted by this. Moving on, Covenant Health. This is the parent company of St. Mary's Health System in Lewiston, Massachusetts. And here's an update on this, because it's much bigger than was initially reported, according to officials. The health system originally reported to Maine, basically back in May, saying 8,000 people were impacted. They just widened that scope to more than 478,000 patients, including nearly 285,000 Mainers. So heads up to you if you use Covenant Health, but you're probably caught up in this now. It wasn't 8,000, it was 478,000. And I'm never a fan when I see a 47 in front of that 8. Moving on, let's do our mini segment, simply entitled, if you just spent money on cybersecurity, you wouldn't be getting sued, you wouldn't be having your reputation ruined, and you sure as heck wouldn't be paying out, and we wouldn't be talking about you. And let's start with Oracle, because yeah, one of the largest breaches of 2025 were the two Oracle breaches that we had, Oracle eBusiness and Oracle Health. And a federal judge in Austin, Texas, where Oracle is headquartered, is currently considering whether to combine the more than 30 cases into one, with a decision basically on that possibly very soon. A decision on a class action could come within a year as well. And yes, Oracle will be paying through the nose for this one. Moving on. Barracuda or Barracuda Networks. They are a vendor of threat detection platforms, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, vulnerabilities in their technology apparently caused one of their customers, Zoll, to suffer a data breach. So after Zoll's insurer, basically the plaintiff Access Insurance Co., paid out a settlement in the subsequent class action, the insurer, standing basically on the shoes of both Zoll and Fusion, which was the other company caught up, sued Barracuda, seeking essentially to recoup the damages under the theory of equitable indemnification. In other words, because it was Barracuda's fault, they also have responsibility because it was a vulnerability in their software. But a U.S. District Court judge applying Massachusetts law granted summary judgment to Barracuda, finding no derivative or vicarious relationship between Barracuda and Zoll, to support that theory. And so there you go. I think that's an interesting one. But it really opens up the question of how liable are basically threat detection systems, in this case Barracuda, if they have vulnerabilities. Now, maybe Barracuda came out, and I didn't read this in the article or see this in the article, and said, oh, well, we patched that and Zoll didn't patch it, so it's not on us, it's on Zoll because they didn't do it. Or maybe these went undetected, and by virtue of that, they simply didn't know, and somebody figured out how to exploit a Barracuda product. So I don't know. We'll see, but Barracuda off the hook for now. Moving on. Let's head to South Korea and talk about Coupang. This is the massive e-commerce giant in that country. This past Monday, they just announced plans to spend 1.685 trillion won, which is $1.17 billion US, in compensation over their recent data breach. Talking to the press, Coupang said that the data breach started on June 24th of last year and that 33.7 million customer accounts in Korea were affected. And so a $1.17 billion payout from Coupang, that's a lot of scratch. So best of luck if you're a Coupang user. I don't know how much that is going to be divided 33 million ways. Moving on, Cigna, the large health provider here, a new class action accuses the Cigna Group of failing to properly secure and protect patient data. So plaintiff Karina Lopez filed a class action on December 17th in Connecticut federal court alleging violations of state and federal consumer laws. Lopez claims that Cigna failed to properly secure her PII and PHI in that data breach between October 24th through January of last year. So these things sometimes move slowly, although the class actions are coming very quickly now, but best of luck to you, Ms. Lopez, and your class against Cigna. And those were basically your payouts and lawsuits of the week. And if they had just spent money on cybersecurity, they wouldn't be getting sued, they wouldn't be having their reputation damaged, and we wouldn't have been talking about them just now. Moving on, Oracle's not off the hot seat yet, because Oracle Health, we have another update because Tallahassee Memorial Health, I'm assuming that's Tallahassee, Florida, has had to declare a data breach due to using Oracle eHealth. And with that, let's move from Florida to the state of Illinois to talk about the Illinois Department of Human Services. Names and addresses of thousands of patients for the IDHS were incorrectly made publicly viewable for the last several years, according to the agency. Several maps created to assist the agency with decisions, like where to open new offices and allocate resources, were made public through incorrect privacy settings between 2021 and 2025. 4 years, Illinois, 4 years. That's absolutely insane. So, more than 32,000 customers with the IDHS Division of Rehabilitation Services had their information publicly available between April of 21 through September of 2025. So 4.5 years. You're killing me. Now, the information included names, addresses, case numbers, case status, referral source, region and office information, and the status of Division of Rehabilitation Services recipients, according to the agency. Around 670,000 Medicaid and Medicare Saving Program recipient also had their addresses, case numbers, demographic information, and names of medical assistance plans publicly viewable between January 2022 through September 2025, according to the IDHS. So, Illinois, get it together. Moving on, let's talk about insurance giant Aflac, if you've known their commercials. They're notifying 22.65 million people that their personal information was stolen in June of last year. Now, the company disclosed the intrusion on June 20th, saying it identified suspicious activity on its network, and basically found this on June 12th, and they blamed a sophisticated cybercrime group. Names, address, social security number, dates of birth, driver's license, government IDs, medical and health insurance information, and other data was stolen or accessed. So heads up to you if you have Aflac for your insurance needs. Moving on, Wired, the magazine/publication, one that I read regularly. Anyway, an attacker who goes by Lovely published the Wire user data basically on several cybercrime forums in the last few days. Analysis conducted by cybersecurity firm Hudson Rock showed that 2.3 million Wired accounts, or rather records, may have been available for download. We're talking names, email address, display names, dates of birth, physical address, phone numbers, and genders. However, only email addresses appear to be included in these records. The other type of data was relatively out there, but for a very small percentage of users. And the most recent entries were dated September of last year. So if you have an account with Wired, and I do not for the record, go ahead and check in with them. Moving on, let's head down to the Carolinas and talk about Spartanburg, specifically the county on August 6th. They basically, and I quote, "Our computer network security tools identified unauthorized access to a limited portion of the county's network. Certain files were copied from the computer network without permission," end quote. That's all I know, but if you live in Spartanburg County in the Carolinas, check in. Moving on, let's head down under to New Zealand and talk about Manage My Health. More than 108,000 users of Manage My Health may have had their information breached and exposed following that breach, which basically is impacting basically one of the largest patient portals in the entire country. The incident occurred on Wednesday and is believed to have been affecting 6 to 7% of the platform's 1.8 million registered users. So heads up to you if you're down under in New Zealand and use Manage My Health. Moving on, Harnish Group. They reported to Maine after they experienced a data breach of sensitive personally identifiable information. And according to their notice on November 11th, they became aware of an incident that resulted in the disclosure of personally identifiable information. I don't have much more than that, but Harnish Group is in construction. That's all I really know. Moving on, Abry Credit Union out of Romeoville, Illinois. They confirm that sensitive personal information in their systems may have been accessed and acquired by an unauthorized third party between May 3rd and 4th of 2024. We're going back almost 2 years on that one. Good job, Abry, but we're talking name, social security number, date of birth, driver's license or state ID, financial account information, payment card information, medical info, health insurance info, digital signature, and birth/marriage certificate. So if you use Abry Credit Union for your banking needs, you might want to check in. And I'm a big fan of credit unions, never a fan seeing anybody hit, including them. Moving on, Altman Health System, and we are heading to Ohio for this one because Altman, AULTMAN, announced that they had experienced a breach in which sensitive personally identifiable information was compromised. Name, social security number, patient medical records were hit with this. Moving on, St. Anthony's Regional Hospital, and or St. Anthony's just in general, they announced they experienced a data breach, and it is everything that you would think it would be: name, social security number, address, date of birth, driver's license, government issued ID, payment card information, financial account information, medical information, you name it, including biometric data, health insurance information, again, you name it as well, including policy numbers and everything. So if you go to St. Anthony's for your needs for medical, you might want to check in. Never a fan when hospitals get hit at all. Moving on. Our last one for today, and this was a shorter week, maybe it's just the new year, I don't know, but we're going to be talking about Tinder for Nazis. That's right, you heard me correctly. A quote-unquote old-school anarchist researcher who goes by the online pseudonym Martha Root claims to have breached a racist dating site and 2 similar platforms. Now, what we're talking about here, and specifically this leak, is impacting White Date. This is a white supremacist dating site for, and I quote, Euripids seeking tribal love, end quote, White Child, which is a white supremacist site focused on family and ancestry, and White Deal. This is a network and professional development site for people with a racist worldview. Now, all 3 of these platforms were operated by a right-wing extremist from Germany. And according to Root, and I quote, I infiltrated the racist dating site and made Nazis fall in love with robots, end quote. The journalist also found that the website cybersecurity hygiene was so poor that it, quote, would make even your grandma's AOL account blush, end quote. That's actually pretty funny. And I quote again, imagine calling yourself the master race, but forgetting to secure your own website. Maybe try mastering to host WordPress before world domination, end quote. And yeah, WordPress is Swiss cheese half the time. All these plugins go stale, and if you're not constantly updating it, you're just going to get attacked. Make sure you got a good web application firewall, whoever you are, not just the racists. So this researcher created a website, which I think it's hysterical. okstupid.lol, and 8,000 leaked profiles were placed on a map exposing users from different regions of the world. I went to this website, okstupid.lol, and yes, you can see a whole bunch of stuff. The data includes highly sensitive and detailed self-reported information, such as username, gender, age, location, activity, history, lifestyle, height, eye color, hair color, and other physical appearance traits, income range, education, marital status, religion, and even self-assessed IQ, among many other fields. Now, most notably, this data set also contains numerous profile photos, along with embedded EXIF metadata that reveals precise GPS coordinates, device information, timestamps, other identifying details, and on and on. The researcher claims that the image metadata, quote, practically hands out home addresses, end quote. And yeah, if you've got EXIF on and you're taking pictures, you've got GPS coordinates, and so you're taking a picture in front of your house or something like that, boom, we've got your address. So this is interesting in a couple different levels. And I went poking around the data that they had there. And yeah, it's a dating site, for white supremacists. There's a lot of imagery there that is very Nazified, that kind of stuff. Like a Hitler Valentine is one of the images there, like all this kind of stuff. So, ooh, there you go. Not my cup of tea in terms of dating sites. Not that I'm on dating sites, but the point here is that you should secure your stuff no matter who you are. Whether you're a good person or a terrible person, everybody needs cybersecurity. Everybody deserves privacy. And here we are. So heads up to you, Nazis. Your dating site was cracked, and apparently so was your Ancestry site and a whole bunch of other stuff. And learn how to use WordPress. But those were your breaches of the week. Were you impacted? Well, if you're a single Nazi looking to mingle, you probably were. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, 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 I don't want to say private, informed, and secure. Take care.